to this program on the traditional Ballad Index. This part is specifically about how to use the downloadable Ballad Index software. If you want to learn about the online version or the downloadable text, HTML, or PDF versions, you should look up those videos. Unfortunately, the programming environment you used to create this version has been discontinued, so there may come a day when we won't be able to update this software. But this is by far the most capable and powerful version of the traditional Ballad Index. If you want to get the greatest possible use out of the index, for now at least, this is what you should use. This is much the longest of the instructional videos, so let's get started. Because this is a standalone piece of software, you need to download the specific version for your particular machine. We have versions for Windows, Macintosh, and iPhone plus iPad. The Macintosh version is probably the most endangered. From the main Ballad Index page, you've seen this before, we've been here a lot. Scroll down to the part that says, "Here you can proceed to," and click on the link for the Ballad Index software page. So you get a page that shows you the various things you can download. If you don't want to watch this whole video, you can go and download these Ballad Index software instructions, and that'll get you a PDF with most of this material. Or you can just download the version for PC, Windows, Macintosh, or iPad. The iPad version also works on the iPhone, although it looks a little bit different. The number of files you'll actually depend. I'm not going to do the download right now because it takes a long time. These files are more than 100 megabytes for the PC and Mac versions and close to 100 for the iPad, so it takes a while. I'm not going to go through that. The number of files you'll get will depend on the version you download. The iPad version is just 6 files for the 6 databases in the Ballad Index. The traditional Ballad Index itself, the Roud Folksong Index, the Roud Broadside Index, bibliographies for both indices, and the Supplemental Tradition, a collection of sample texts. The Macintosh version, which I'll show you right now, consists of these 6 databases, all these things with the .fmpur extensions. Those 6 databases plus the balladindex.app program file, plus a few minor acknowledgments. The Windows version has a few more files, but the key on both Windows and Mac is the main Ballad Index application. This is the one you need to launch to run the index. On the iPhone or iPad, I should add, you also need to install FileMaker Go. I'll let you read the instructions for that. You just go to the App Store and you get it. The Ballad Index usually takes a little while during launch to start all this stuff up. You'll know it's ready to go when you see this startup screen with the buttons at the bottom and the text at the top. Top of the screen tells you the version number. So this one is showing you, this is actually the current beta. This is version 5.2 as we're working on it. Below these versions numbers, there's a little bit of help about the information in the index. And then there are all these buttons at the bottom. The Ballad Index is button driven because it's designed partly to work on iPad and iPhone. We have to use buttons. So it's button driven. You won't need to use the menus to navigate it. You'll just have buttons to work with. There are a lot of them because they do a whole bunch of things. Some of them are just help buttons, but there are 4 main buttons that take you to the various databases in the Ballad Index. One of them takes you to the Roud Folksong Index. One takes you to the Roud Broadside Index. This one takes you to the Ballad Index bibliography. And there's one that goes to the Ballad Index itself. That's the one that says Go to Index, the red button there. So let's start there. When you click on the Go to Index button, you'll see an entry appear. Normally, Brave Wolf, because that's the very first ballad in the Laws catalog. All the basic information that we store in the index is shown here. The name, the description, background information, references, notes. If the text is too small for you, you can go up. There's a view menu. This is one of the few times you need to use the menus. There's a view menu that says zoom in or zoom out. You can pinch to enlarge on the iPad and iPhone. So that's how you can make it bigger if you have to. You'll note that this entry has a scroll bar. That's because it's too long to fit on one screen. So you can scroll through it as you would with any other window with the scroll bar. That shows you the whole thing. To the right of the information on the entry are the buttons that let you use the index. The four at the top are search buttons, which are really the most important. So let's hold off on those. The print button will let you print a clean copy of the entry to your printer of choice. It may, of course, require several pages, but it'll get you just the information here in the entry. It won't show you all these buttons. The copy button will copy the complete text of the entry onto the clipboard so that you can paste it somewhere else. It will be a fully formatted copy like what you want to see on the screen. If you only want to copy part of the entry, if you only want first few lines or something like that, you can just select it and copy it the way you would with any other text thing. Now over here you'll notice this message. This song has associated texts. This tells you that this is one of the 1,000 odd songs in the database for which we have a sample text. If there is such a text, then this message will appear in the window, and so will the button that says Show Song Text. So you can click on that button to see the sample text. In this case, we actually have 2 sample texts. When you're done, and you can copy in here just the way you would anywhere else, but when you're done, you can click the Continue button to go back to the main entry for Brave Wolf. Those song texts are part of what we call the supplemental tradition, which we'll cover in another video. I'm going to defer on the Show Song List button until we've done some find commands. The Show Roud Folk Song List will show you the route entries for this particular song. It's actually launching another database. It's another window showing you the information in the Roud Folk Song Index. This is another thing we'll look at more later. If you go back to the window for the Ballad Index, there's also one to show the Roud Broadside Index. This again will open a window with broadsides for Brave Wolf. Again, we'll come back to that. I don't absolutely guarantee that there will be broadsides for a particular song. The database doesn't check. If the song does not have a Roud folk song index number, just has a broadside number, it will show you the broadsides. If there is no Roud number at all, which will happen for a foreign language song or for a song from New Zealand which isn't in the index, then both these links will be disabled. Below the Roud links there are 4 buttons: Find by Field, Quit, Help, and Rescue Me. These 4 buttons with the purple text occur in almost every view in the database. If you find yourself not sure where you are, you can always click Rescue Me to get yours back to this screen, or Help to get back to the startup screen. So we'll go back to the index. But those are your get out of here buttons. Quit, you know what quit is, and Find by Field, we'll see what that is shortly. So let's go and look at these find buttons. The quick find gives you fast access to the 3 most important fields for finding songs in the Ballad Index: the title, the description, and the keywords. All of those 3 fields are designed for fast searching. In database terminology, they are indexed. Yes, they are the indexed part of the Ballad Index. Okay, I didn't invent the words. Clicking the Quick Find button brings up a form that lets you find one or more of these fields. So let's say we want to find songs about Greenland, or that we think that mention Greenland. So we'll put Greenland in the description field. And then press return or click the find button. This finds more than one song. As a matter of fact, it tells you it found you 16 records, 16 songs. So instead of going to the entry for a particular song, it shows us a list of the 16 songs. 16 of them in alphabetical order based on the title. If you want to see the full entry for a particular song, you can either click the Show button next to the title, or you can click on the name of the song and use the Show Details button down at the bottom. So let's look at The Loss of the Jewel. This isn't a very well-known song. There are only 2 references, both the Kenneth Peacock's field recording of George Decker. So if we look at it, you see there's not much there. This is probably not what you want. So we'll go back to so we've got this display here. We want to get back to that list of songs. So this is where this Show Song List button comes in. Click on the Show Song List button to get back to the list of 16 songs. You might not want to have to look at the detailed entries for each song to find the song you're looking for. The list allows you shortcuts to the information. You can see how many references there are by looking here at the References column. You can see the route number. Plus you can tell if there are any notes on the song. See that they all have reference counts, they all have route numbers, they don't all have notes. You can view these fields plus the description without having to show the whole entry. So let's look first at the description of Newfoundland Ceiling Song. Just click the description button. Okay, here's Newfoundland Ceiling Song, and I'm not going to show the whole entry, I'm just going to look at the description. This gives you a quick summary of the information about the song, the actual description, the author, the earliest date, the keywords, the found in information, and a little bit about when it was added, plus the length of the notes. If that's the one you want, you can click the Show Full Entry button. It'll show you the whole thing. Otherwise, you can either use the Close button or just click outside the window to have that close. If you're still not sure, you can click on the other buttons and see if they tell you any more. The References button, for instance, tells you how many references there are. There's just one for the Newfoundland Ceiling Song. But by clicking on it, you can see the reference. Again, you can just close or you can click off to close it. You can click on the notes to see the notes. And then if you click on the Route References button, you get a very quick short summary of the route references. This is just title, first line, and source book. So this is not anything like the full detail on the song. This is just here to give you enough to say, that's it, that's not it. If you decide this still isn't what you want and you need to try another search, you can go down to the bottom of the window. There are all these buttons. Buttons are usually on the bottom or on the right. Here we'll do another quick find. This time let's search for songs with Greenland in the title rather than the description. So in the song name we'll type Greenland. This gets us a shorter list, but you'll notice that while most of them have bold red titles, there is the one that appears different. The title Greenland Fishing is an alternate title for the Greenland whale fishery. If you show the entry on this one, you get only a very short entry saying that it's a cross-reference. But note that we have a new button. We haven't seen this before. We have a new button that says Show Master Entry. This will take you straight to the entry for Greenland whale fishery. So if you get a cross-reference and you don't see the main reference, you can use that. You can go to the entry for that cross-reference and then use the Show Main Entry button to get to the main entry. Sorry about the little screen glitch there. This is an awfully long program. So far we've been doing simple searches. We can do more complicated searches too. For example, suppose we want to find all songs that have been found collected in both Newfoundland and Australia. We can't do that with a plain old quick find, but we can do it using the Find by Field button. This gives us access to almost all of the fields in the index. So let's go to Find by Field and go to the Found In field and put in Australia, because that's all we need for Australia, and Newf. We don't have to spell out Australia, you just have to put in enough to recognize the word, and you don't have to worry about capitalization even though I did it. Okay, so when we have that, we can click Search and get a bunch of stuff. We can check, say, the Derby Ram from this list. Somewhere down there, I know it's in there because it's in my script. Once we're finished with that, if we decide this isn't the one we want, then we can use the Show Song List button that we skipped over before. This goes back to the list so we can look at something else. If we do another Find by Field, observe that some fields the ballad name, the description, the keywords, the route number, have cyan backgrounds. Other things like the references have white backgrounds. The cyan fields are indexed and search fastest, but you can search anything. Suppose you want to, say, find a list of Henry Clay work songs that we know have been found somewhere in Australia. So we'll put H work in the author and Australia, or part of it anyway, in the found in. And again, it doesn't matter if it's upper or lowercase. We search for that, we get only a short list of stuff. And in the case of these three songs, we even click Go the Shears, work wrote only the tune. But this list does just looking at this list lets us know a little bit. We know that Click Go the Shears is to the tune of Ring the Bell Watchman, and this shows that Ring the Bell Watchman was actually known in Australia. This is the kind of research you can do easily with complicated finds. We can do other and even more complicated finds. Suppose, for instance, you want to look up a specific route number. Okay, so we'll find by field. Go to the route number. And if you typed in 200 here, that would find everything, every song with a route number that starts with 200. So 2001, 2002, of course 200 also, but anything 20010. You don't want everything that starts with 200, you want number 200. You can find that specific route number by doing a find and typing =200 instead. So if you put the equal sign in front, that says find this exact word, not anything else, not something that starts with that exact word. That takes you straight to number 200, Edward. The equals notation is mostly for searching for exact words. Suppose you want to find all songs that have Rob, R-O-B, in the title, but not Robin or Robert or Robert. If you search for Rob, R-O-B, in the title, you will get 200 odd songs. I won't do it. I already did it, so I know. You could read through that list of 200 songs to try to find the right songs. But you could also search for equals R-O-B. That will only find songs that have the exact word Rob in the title, and that will get you just 2. Interestingly, neither one of them is the verb Rob. They're both the name Rob, and they're both about Rob Roy. There are other ways to make your searches more powerful. If you click Help to go back to the startup page, and then click the Search Tips button, you'll see information about wildcards. And I know that's really small on your screen. You can zoom in if you need to. Wildcards are special symbols that don't match a particular letter or letters, but rather match whole classes of letters. For example, if you use an asterisk in your search, it will find anything. So let's go to the index and we'll do a find by field. If you search for, say, creel, as in the kitchen, the creel, but aren't sure whether it's spelled C-R-E-E-L or C-R-E-A-L, you can search for C-R-E at L, or well, C-R-E asterisk L. We'll get to the at symbol soon. So the at sign will search for a single letter. Oh, well, let's try this. Let's try C-R-E asterisk L, and that gets us all variants of the same song. And they're all spelled C-R-E-E-L, but we didn't know that. This way we were safe. The at sign searches for a single letter. So if you aren't sure whether a song title starts with other or ither, again, you can do a find and you can do at there, and that'll find either or other or ather or ether. In this case, it's both ether and other. You can even use more than one wildcard in the same word. This is perhaps most useful in songs in Scots dialect. If you don't know whether a song title uses the spelling right for R-I-G-H-T for right, or recht, R-E-C-C-H-T, or some combination, you can search for our two at symbols HT. That will get you R followed by two and only two letters and then HT. So turns out they're all right. There aren't any of these other funny spellings. But this way you're safe. Or if you heard a song title and you aren't sure if the word you heard was arrow or arrows or Errol, as in the Earl of Errol, you could search for, now this is where we really get cute. We know it starts with a vowel, one letter, so we'll put an at sign to find one letter, R-O-O, R-O, sorry. And then we'll put an asterisk, so that will find one letter and only one letter at the beginning. It will find one or more letters at the end. So if we do this, we get both arrow and arrow. And we would have gotten arrows if there were any arrows in there. There aren't any arrows in there. We can verify that by putting arrows in there. And there are no songs that match your criteria. There are no songs with arrows in the title. To go on from here, let's do one more search, this time using the Find Anywhere command. I'm going to search for Newfoundland Disaster, and I'm going to, this takes a while, so I'm going to keep talking while this is going on. This search will find a lot of songs that actually aren't about the Newfoundland disaster of 1898. For that, if you want to find the Newfoundland disaster of 1898, you might want to search the historical references or the notes. This search gets anything that uses the words Newfoundland and disaster, so you'll get a lot of songs about wrecks or disasters from or known in Newfoundland. And it takes a while because it has to search the whole database. But it'll get there. There. See, I only had to kill a little bit of time there. Now, one other thing to note, because we got a whole bunch of things here. In this particular search, we got 79 records. They're initially listed in alphabetical order. It's down at the bottom of the list. You go to the top. See, starts with A, gets all the way down to W. It doesn't have to be that way. If you want to, for some reason, search them by route number, you can search them by route number. And there are ones that don't have one up at the top. And then they get big numbers down at the end. Or big number, no numbers at the top. So these are the ones that don't have an entry that I know of in the route index as of right now. Then there are the ones that are in the route index. And then there are the ones with a V in the front. So those will be the ones that have only entries in the Broadside index. So you can search by that, or you can, if you want to, I don't really know why you'd want to do that, but I put it in there because it was easy. Or suppose you want to look at the most popular items. You can sort by popularity. This shows you the most popular numbers first. So the most popular song that has something to do with Newfoundland and disasters is The Ship That Never Returned. Because that has, as of right now, or that and Willie of Winsbury. They're both found, we have 27 references for both. This also drops all the cross-references to the end, although in this case there weren't any cross-references. But if you had done a search, if you'd done a search on something else where you did get cross-references, they would have gone to the bottom. This search engine was designed for the Ballad index, but it also includes the route indices. Let's pick a song to demonstrate this point. I'm going to choose The Oyster Girl because it appears in a lot of old Broadside catalogs and such. So let's search for Oyster Girl. And if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm pressing return once I type that. That's the same as pressing the search button, but it's faster to press return. So once we have its entry up, we see that it has 115 route entries. So let's try the button that we've been holding off on. Show route folk song index, or show route folk song list. And the route index comes up. Summary will appear showing you all the more than 100 entries in the route index. They're just what we've got. So the name, where it's found, the route number, the first line, the informant, and place where it's found, and a little bit of summary So you can scroll through and look at all these different items in the route index. If you see one of them in particular that you want to find out more about, click on it and show the song details. Same sort of trick as you used with the ballad index. This will give you the full Roud folk song index for that one. So you go back, you want to just look at another one, go back, show the song list, click on that one, show the details. Note that in the detail view, you can move through the list of songs. You don't have to go back to the list and go that way. You can use the next record. You can scroll through the records with the, okay, that's the last one. First record, next record, next record, next record, previous records, go through the list that way. But suppose you decide that this isn't the right song about oysters. You can search the Roud index rather than the ballad index. And it has a quick search, a find by field, and a find anywhere. And you really don't want to use a find anywhere in the Roud index if you don't have to, because it's even slower than the ballad index one. But let's try a quick search for oyster girl, or just oyster. So this finds you a whole bunch of stuff. Most of them are the oyster girl, but not all. Several dozen are not. So for this, we can sort by, here is where sorting by Roud number is truly useful, because you can see this lumps all of them together. All the unidentified songs, the 00s go at the top, then there's all the 875s, and so on, down, 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 down. So you get the ones that aren't number 875, the ones that aren't Laws Q13. Let's pick, let's say the song called Oyster Stew. If we look at the entry for this one, you'll notice that there's a button here that says Show Ballad Index Entry. So now you found the song in the Roud index, and you can use that button to go back to the ballad index entry for the song. So this way you can go and look up the information that's in the ballad index based on a song in the Roud index. If you want to look at or search the Roud Broadside index instead of the folk song index, that works too. On the ballad index search page, or on this page C, you can show the Roud Broadside list. Okay, there's no broadsides for this one. Oh well. But if you look at, let's just go back to this beginning. Let's do Brave Wolf. If we can spell right. So in Brave Wolf, if we show the Roud Broadside list for this one, it has some. And again, if you show the song details on that one, it has a button to take you back to the ballad index page. So all three indices are linked. The link between the ballad and Roud indices isn't perfect. For one thing, we haven't indexed all the same books. So that means that there are songs in each index that aren't in the other index. If you look for songs found in New Zealand, for instance, and you'll notice that very few of these have, or relatively few of these have Roud index numbers, because I've done a lot of New Zealand books, and the reverse is not true. If you were searching for Scottish songs, there are a lot in the Roud index that aren't in the ballad index. The New Zealand version of the Black Velvet Band, for instance, up here at the top, it's not the same as the Black Velvet Band that you know. It's a specific version to New Zealand, and there are no Roud index entries for that one. So that means that again, not every song is in both, but where there's something in both, where there is a Roud number for the ballad index song, you can use this to go back and forth between the two and get all the information in both using this software. That's why this is our preferred version. Okay, so that's what I can tell you about this software. I didn't actually show you the iPhone version. If you have one of the larger iPhone models, you can use it essentially the same way that you do as the computer version. But if you want to, or if you have a small screen, there is this small screen mode. When you launch it on an iPhone, you'll see this small screen, this startup screen that asks you if you want to use a small screen or large screen. In the small screen mode, you don't have nearly as much stuff. All you can search is the ballad name, the description, the keywords, the route number. I don't know what I typed wrong there. Must have been something. So you can type that in, it'll show you just the song, or if you find songs, oh, huh, thought there would be more than one under there. All right, let's do Greenland again. Okay, you get if you use this one, you get a short list of songs. So this is only a limited find capability, and it won't show you the route indices. All you can do is find a song, look at the list, and look at it, and then look at the details on the particular song. But it lets you have some use of the index even on a very small device. So that's how you can use the Ballad Index software, either on a computer, Mac or PC, or on an iPhone or iPad. And I must admit, I'm proud of this. So I hope you find it useful too, and we'll see you in another video. Thanks.